Welcome everyone to our Docs42 class series. We are talking about the SharePoint data source today, and it is called SharePoint Data Source Advanced. But you also, if you are a Docs42 beginner, that wouldn't be any problem. We just talk about everything you need to know when it comes to the SharePoint data source. And if you are here the first time to our Docs42 class series, I just want to let you know that we actually do a lot of educational content. I directly go into live demo, start from scratch, working directly in some sample templates so that you learn a lot. And yeah, no more slides. Let me start. Just let me introduce me quickly. I'm Fabian. I'm business technology evangelist at Docs42. And yeah, I'm pretty happy to lead you through this webinar. I have just one slide, actually, that's the content slide. So what can you expect from this webinar? We have, of course, the Docs42 SharePoint data source. I will connect to SharePoint data, and then I will show you how you can configure dynamic site links. Actually, all these things are some support questions from our customers, and yeah, I try to cover everything. So that's the dynamic site links. This is actually just needed if you have something like projects or something where you have always the same structure, but just one different part in the URL, something like project A, project B or something. So this is, I will show you that. Then the single and multi-value fields, I will show you how you can work with them, how you can solve them or resolve them also with the XML data source. This is the biggest part actually from this webinar. And then there is another thing, like if you have, for example, some images stored or some data stored in a folder in SharePoint, how can you integrate it dynamically if, for example, the folder has the same ID name like the project ID, for example. So I will lead you through it, and there's one datetime thing at the end, so this is a tiny little thing that I show you then. Good, so now let's jump into it. The first thing I would like to show you is our SharePoint site. Here we have our Docs42 presentation site, and there are some events, for example. So what you can do then, of course, you can add a new event, for example, a new item. This is standard SharePoint. You see there you have your choice fields where you can select something. Then you have some multi-value fields here where you can select. So this is actually all this standard SharePoint functionality. And I just cancel it here because I already added an item here. That's the Docs42 SharePoint Advanced class. You see that's with the item ID number 52. I added a date time. You see there are 3 employees listed, Johannes, me, and Christian, and some industries just selected in the form before, and also the employees here. You see they also have a position, so different positions, and this is what we need then to get the correct data into our document. So I have the number 52, just remember this one, and also just to show you the dynamic that it also works dynamically. Of course, I have one sample in 27. So this is basically our SharePoint site. And then we have another one here in sales orders, for example, and there are some employees. Here you see there is an employee list, and in this employee list you see there are some employees with images included, and also it's 2 folders. You see the 52 and the 27 regarding to our projects we are working with, and in these items, in this folders, there are 3 images, in this case 2 images included. So we will connect this data later on. Good. So then let me jump into our empty Word document, and I actually just saved a data map. How you can get your Docs42 add-in and your trial, there's another webinar. It's another Docs42 class. It is called From Zero to Hero with Docs42 Word add-in. There you will see how you can start directly from scratch, get all the information, how you work with input parameters. I will skip this in this webinar. So I just saved a data map so far, and I have a pretty empty Word document here. So I go into my Docs42 add-in, then there is my data map. This one also is empty, so I just saved it. And you see you can connect to all the different data sources. There are a lot of possibilities. If you have any questions, just write us a message, send us an email, info@docs42.com, and we will help you, of course. So we are talking about SharePoint. So this is what we will do today. So I click here on the SharePoint data source. I call this one, for example, multi-value fields, because this is what we do the most with it. And I would like to connect my project, my events from the Docs42 presentation list here. So what I do now is I just select this link here, click here, copy it and insert it here. But you also, of course, have the possibility to work with Azure Active Directory. But this is another thing. This would be another webinar. Just to inform you about that, you have to configure all your Azure Active Directory configuration. Just for demo reasons, I use my username and password right now here to connect to our SharePoint site. Then I select, of course, SharePoint Online and click here on Connect. And now we are connecting to the page. And we want to connect to our list events. When I click here on Test, you will see there is the information, the Docs42 class, all the titles, everything there. So I close this one here. I say OK. And what else do I need? I need an input parameter because I would like to get the correct information for the correct item. As I said, if you never have configured an input parameter, please have a look at our other webinars. There we will cover all the input parameters as well. So we are talking mostly about the number 52. That's the last event or the last event I added. So I enter here a default value. And now I just add the filtering, so I get the correct data. ID equals my input parameter here. Then I will always get the correct data for number 52. So I close this one here, and now let's start to insert data. We will start with the title, for example, and I would like to show you the industry, and let me insert the employees as well. So when I generate this one right now as it is, then you will see there will be a little mistake here. You see it looks like this. That looks a little bit ugly. I would like to have all the information, you know, the finance, the industry, the information within our multi-value fields, and this is why I have to add something here. So I go back into my data map, open the SharePoint data source, and here you see read special fields. There's something what I can select, and here you see I would like to have the values. Then you also have a separator here. Let's add a comma and a space, and also I do this with my single value fields and say the values. I click OK, and now what's happening is I can now have I get all this information now in a row. So if I select and generate my document again, you will see now it is in clear text. I have the separator, a comma, and now I have all the information here listed. This might be good for some, good enough for some use cases, but if you would like to do something else, then you need our XML data source, and this is what I show you now. Because if I would like to add a table, for example, and want to have all the employees listed in a table. So let me add a table like this, for example, and then I call them employees. And also the position, this is what we do later then. And if I insert now here my employees, then you will see if I generate them, then all the employees will be listed in one cell, but I would like to have one employee, like, so let me generate it quickly. So that's the problem. So I want to have Johannes in one line, then Fabian and Christian in one line, and for this I need our XML data source to resolve our multi-value fields. And I show you how you can do this. So let me delete this one. And what we do then, the first thing is I just clone this this data source here. I just call it multi-value XML, for example. And also I just go here for the read special fields, I go for XML. And then I click OK. And what I would like to do now is I add a new data source, the XML data source, and I call this one employees or employee. We select get, and now where do I get the information from? So I click here on insert data field, and now I use my multi-value XML, and I would like to have this data field resolved. So I select this one, and then you can say, okay, that's a person or lookup. It's actually a lookup field. So I can test this one right now. So then you see I have the name in clear, different Fabian, and also the ID for each employee. So then I can work with them with the information here. That's good for me. I click OK and close this one, and now it is actually resolved in clear text. So I can now use my new XML employee and take the value. And here it looks, it is value. Of course, you can just rename this data field as well. I will do this then with the position, and you can see that you can rename it, and then it makes more sense than just use value, of course. So I add this one here. And what I would like to do now is I would like to repeat this for our data source. So I want to have all the employees like Johannes and Christian and me just listed in this table. So I say automate range, and then I select repeat for data source. And of course now we repeat for our XML, not the SharePoint data source, but we use the employee XML. And then I click OK. And if I generate this one right now, you will see they are listed correctly. That's good, perfect. And yeah, now we want to add the position for each employee. So when I go back to my template, and just to show you how it would look like if I take the normal position data field. So let me take this one. Here there's the employee position. So if I take this one, I click generate, you will see that wouldn't work. Because it is as the name here, it's just listed all of them, the 3 of them. So now we have to work with another XML and resolve it as well, and just filter it correctly, so then we get the correct information here. Good, that's pretty easy. We have seen it how it works. So first I delete this one. We go back into our data map, and I will select XML. I call this one position. And here we also say get, insert data field, and now again we go to our XML, the standard XML here, which we copied, and we select our data field. In this case, it's the employee position. And here we say, also we say lookup, and now I just rename this data field and say position. So you see, of course, you can then change the names of the data fields as well. Good. Then I click on tests, and you see here it is, the position and the ID. So this is good. Now we can use the ID and filter it correctly, so the correct information will be printed then. I click OK. And here we can add our filters. I click on right click, open the filter sorter here, and we say the ID equals the ID from our employees. And then I filtered correctly, and now each position will be listed correctly. If I take, of course, I need to take the data field here from our position data field, and here you see it is renamed, and I add it directly here. So let me generate this one for number 52 again. And here it is. So now I just quickly generate another one, like the number 27. That's there are just two employees working. So you see then, of course, it is working dynamically. It's a different event. That's SharePoint Expo Munich. You see it's just 2 employees here listed, of course. Yeah, good. Works perfectly. Then we have another thing, and we wanted to show you how you can add the images from the folders. I quickly showed it before. So you have here, this is, you see 27, 52, and we also have these folders here, and we would like to include, so let me open the folder 52, for example. It contains 3 images, and we want to include dynamically the images based on the name, on the folder name, of course. So what do we have to do? The first thing what we do is we need to add a new SharePoint data source. So I open our data map and I click here on SharePoint. I call this one, for example, folders. Folder is good. And here again, I just quickly copy the site link directly here from our SharePoint site into it, and also insert my credentials. Now I click on connect again, and we are talking about the employees list here. And now I select this one and I click on test, and then you will see we have the images here, and then also the folders 52 and 27, and we want to have the content of the folders. So what we do then is, here you see the folder section, and you could hard code it, but then it wouldn't be dynamic. So we just say, we also, if we add something, we have the input parameter item ID, that's the number 52. So we can use this one, this variable. And what you do is you just select, you click here on the ellipsis, and then you have your item ID here, double tap, and this is actually Docs42. You have the angle brackets, then the name of the input parameter, and percent, angle brackets percent, and then you include the name of the input parameter. And that makes it dynamically. So if I click on test now, because I have the default 52 included, if I click on test, you will see it's just reading the 3 images, the 3 people here. And that's okay for me. I click OK. And now I add the images, the URL path that is here. And we also need to repeat this one, because otherwise it would be just the first image would be shown. We say automate range. And now we repeat for our SharePoint data source here, the folder. I click OK. And then there's another thing to do. Actually, you might have noticed that we just added this data field, but we would like to add images. So let me quickly generate this document, and you will see what I mean. If I just select the data field, then you will see it just gives me the path, actually a part of the path to the image. And I have to tell Docs42 that this is an image and it is stored here. So what I like to do now is, I select this data field, say the type here, that is an image, and I can add a dimension like 130 or something. And here there is the directory URL. We saw the first part of the URL, and now I need to add to the Docs42. It starts from here, so without the slash in this case. So like this, then I click OK, and now everything is set up correctly. I generate this one for number 52, and then you will see there are our 3 images. Well, that's good. And to show you that it really works dynamically, I also use the number 27 and show you that this works as well. So let me generate this one. And now it takes the images from my folders 27. And there are, of course, just 2 images. So yeah, there are 2 employees, so 2 images. Good, that works. So I showed you how you can configure this. And actually, there's just 2 more things to do. I wanted to show you how you can work with the dynamic site links. And yeah, let me open this one. So when it comes to projects, you mostly have the exact same structure, and this is of course very important. So you have the same structure and the same names of the data. And the only thing which is dynamic is mostly one part of your link. So this is, okay, let me say Docs42 presentation. You have project A, project B, project C, and then the rest is exactly the same. And to make this one dynamically, this part, I show you how you can do this. So you open your data map again, and we go to our multi-value data source. This is the site link, we have seen it, and we want to make this one dynamically. Actually, we don't have an exact example for this because we just have this page, but I show you how you can do it, how you would do it in your scenario. So you need a input parameter. I call this one site, for example. And I add, in this case, I add a default value. You can also do this. This is the part, that's the part that should be included then. And that could be project 1 or something. So I click OK. And now I just make this part dynamically. And what I can do here is I just delete this one and also use my angle brackets again. Angle brackets and %, and then I just add the name of the input parameter. So this is then my variable here. It is called site in this case. I click OK and close this one, and that was it actually. So if I generate this one again, so we have this number, let's say 27, and there's another input parameter, and here this is the part which is included in my site link. And of course, if you use your project A or project 1 or something, then you can add this here. If I generate this one right now, oh, sorry for that. Maybe I have a spelling mistake. Okay, here it is. So this is how you would do it. If you change something and use then another number like A or something, then of course it wouldn't work and I will get a mistake that it would work. But this is how you do it and how you configure it dynamically. Yeah, this site is not existing. Good. So that basically was it. I have just one tiny little thing at the end. Let me add my date and time field. So I open this one again. You see here, there is in 52, for example, is 10 o'clock, and here it is 11 o'clock. So if I add this time field, the date and time field, then I generate the document quickly, and let me show what happens. It says 8 o'clock and the reason is because there is UTC used, and to get rid of this, to get your exact time zone, you just add your data source. Here again it is the multi-value data source, and there is one checkbox, date and time fields in local time instead of UTC. And if you tick this box, then everything is correctly. And now if I generate this one, you will see there it is. O'clock. And also, of course, for your number 27, where it says 11 o'clock, then you get the correct information. Here it is. Good. So far so good. I have some last little slide for you. If you have any questions, or actually if you can also test Docs42 30 days for free, so you can request your free key. Just visit us on docs42.com, and if you have any questions, drop us feedback, drop us an email. Yeah, if you need some support, if you want to have a webinar or a Docs42 class for your specific scenario, just let us know. We are very happy and open for this, so just tell us. And yeah, then so far so good. I hope you're happy with the content from this webinar, and let me know, give me your feedback, and see you in the next Docs42 class. Bye bye.